What's going on? It is 5 p.m. Throttle Talk. How is everyone doing tonight? It's been a while. What is hip hop happening? Welcome. Hey, Zoe. What is going on? Thank you so much, you guys, for joining in on Throttle Talk Tuesday. And what is Throttle Talk? If you guys are new here, every Tuesday, well, not every Tuesday, but on Tuesdays, we interview influential women athletes who are making an impact on other athletes and women who are in the snowmobile and dirt bike community. What is happening? Thank you so much for joining. And here's a huge announcement. I organized an event here in Pemberton with Green River MX, and it's a women's only motocross clinic. And in 2 days, we sold out, and we have Coach Danielle Pettis, I believe is her last name. Sorry if I butchered that. But anyway, she's our coach. We sold out in 2 days, and it is a charity event. We raise funds for Snorama, which is Easter seals. So thank you to those who signed up. I am so excited. That's happening July 15th. And who is ready for it? Who is excited for tonight's chat? We are chatting to KC Pritchard, and it's going to be such a great conversation. It's something we haven't talked about. We haven't interviewed somebody who is dirt bike racing and sled racing. So I'm really excited to bring her up here, and I am going to find her because I see that she joined in. So just give me a minute, you guys. Casey, there you are. Whoop whoop. Awesome. Yeah, Braap MX babe. Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm so good. Thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, before we dive into it, Casey, does that stand for something? Or just
Um,
Casey?
so it's actually the phonetic way to say Casey. Casey stands for Casey. My family spells it Casey.
Okay,
Um,
I thought so. I just wanted, it could have been like Katie, Kate.
it's actually like the story behind it would be in fifth grade I moved to a different town, different school, and like a bunch of people kept calling me Cassie. I was like, it's Casey, and that's when it clicked that I started spelling it Casey, and it stuck. And so throughout racing and everything, I kept
Yeah,
using it because it's cool.
yeah. To the point, straight up, Casey.
Yep.
Love it. Love it. How are you doing on this Tuesday?
Much better now that I'm home and can relax and get to hang out with you tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Was it a busy day today?
Yeah, it's always a busy day in my life.
Fair. Where are you coming in from?
I live in upstate Western New York area.
Okay. So rad. And so you were saying when we are talking, so the reason why we pushed our talks, usually we do them at 7 Pacific time. We switched it to 5 because it's 8 to your time, correct?
Yeah. Where are you?
Yeah.
Pacific West?
Pacific, yeah. So Whistler, Vancouver area.
Oh, that's awesome. Very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's dive into it. So, for those of you guys that are joining in, if you have any questions, comments, we are going to try to keep up with them. If not, we'll get to them at the very end. Um, yeah. So, why don't you tell us? I know you told us about your name and where you're from, but tell us about you.
I mean, so I'm from a small town in upstate Western New York. I moved back here about 2 years ago. I was in Western Colorado for 3 years, and before that, I was in Florida for 5, 6 years. So I moved around quite a bit, and I've been all over the country now, and got to live in some different places. And so now I'm back in my hometown, and needed something to do and got back into racing.
Okay, did you take some time off racing?
I did. Back in 2013, I got hurt, so I took a break, and I would ride like a couple times a year, but I thought I was done racing, done with that part of my life, and I got to do a race out in Colorado, and then I was like, all right, I think I want to ride again. And when I moved back, I just rode a couple times over summer, and then so last summer I raced again, and it's addicting. You just want to keep going. It's so much fun.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I could imagine. Adrenaline rush for sure. I have Bubster 125. Casey is famous. Woo. I'm just going to scroll up. Raina loves snow. She says hello from Port Elgin, Ontario. Awesome. Awesome. Awesome.
Oh, cool.
Okay. Okay. And yeah, so from doing my research, because I'm a creep that way, I noticed that yeah, you're racing dirt bikes and you're also racing sleds, snowmobiles. Is that
I'm
correct?
sorry, you broke up a bit there. What's that?
That's okay. So you not only are you racing dirt bikes, but you're also racing sledding, correct?
Sorry, you broke up again. You're also riding, did you say?
Yeah. Are you here, let's just see if my might be my internet, unfortunately.
In the
You're
middle of nowhere.
racing dirt bikes, but you're also racing snowmobiles.
Yes, correct.
Correct. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about sledding. I know we're kind of off season right now, but tell us a little bit about how did you get into sledding and sled racing?
Well, I started riding snowmobiles when I was 10 years old, and just with my friends in the backyard in the hills and trail riding. And we got into the dirt bike racing when I was about 15, 16, and my uncle bought a race sled and was like, here, you guys can take it and go try it out. Well, I ended up breaking it the first time I took it on a track. And so that was kind of the end of that. And it got fixed and I trail rode it a little more, but it that whole snowcross racing career never took off back then. But it was always something that I really wanted to try. And I moved to Florida, so obviously I didn't ride snowmobiles for a bunch of years. And when I came back to New York, I told my mom I'm getting a snowmobile because that's what my friends do around here. So I started riding snowmobiles, and we went to snowcross in Salamanca. And I was telling my one friend, I'm like, man, I really want to try that. And I guess she told a friend of a friend who was starting a snowcross team. It's called HA Racing, HA Motorsports. And they invited me to come race on their team last year.
So sick. That's so
Yeah.
rad. That's awesome. Okay, so you just you got onto the team last year, but how long have you been racing for total?
Just last year.
Just last year. Okay. Okay. And with COVID, were you able to do some races or are you just getting into the racing like this coming season?
Yeah, so it definitely put a damper on the season last year. They rearranged the schedule a couple times. We're going to start races earlier, and then it was like every time we got close to the date, there was some issue with the town that shut the race down. So we didn't end up getting to ride until I think it was late January, February time of this year. High Voltage Motocross Park up in it's a track north of Syracuse, New York, so in the upper northern part of the state. They were running cross country races, and I guess they decided, hey, we've got all the snow from the parking lot. We can build a snowcross track here and hold the races here. So they did 4 rounds up at High Voltage this winter. So we did get an opportunity to race a little bit. So it was a short season, but at least like got to try it, see what it's all about. So that was cool.
Totally. What kind of snowmobile are you riding?
Last year I had a 2020 Polaris 600R.
Okay.
This year I'll be getting it.
Okay. So rad. Awesome. And so that's pretty unique that they were able to build a track in a parking lot.
Yeah, and I don't know that much about snowcross tracks yet, but from my perspective, they did an amazing job up there. It was a really cool track. I guess it's bigger than a normal track, but I had a blast on it.
Oh, I bet. I bet. So with snowcross, with racing, did you set up your sled differently? Did you do any modifications or anything like that?
Mod wise, so you have to run them stock as far as the engine and the exhaust go. We did swap out, put some better skis on it, studs. And then I guess you could say they modified the seat for me. They shaved it right down so it was the size of a dirt bike seat. To be more comfortable on it, and that worked out awesome.
Okay. Is it because of your height?
Yeah, it was height. The seat on the race sled for Polaris last year, they're really big. So the thing was bucking me off everywhere. So I was like, can we shave this down? And Wade goes, she's gonna think she's riding her dirt bike on this one. They made it really narrow, so I had something to hold on to.
Oh, that's so rad. Oh, that's cool. I ride a short, smaller seat, and I swear by it.
Yeah,
So that's cool.
you need it to hold on to. So if it's really big and cushiony, it's like you're not really holding on to it. It's comfortable, but
Yeah. And it
make
just
it
looks like it makes it look like you're sitting the entire time.
yeah.
Cool. Well, that's really rad. Okay, so we talked a bit about, yeah, so we don't have a whole lot of snowcross in our neck of the woods. I think there was a couple snowcross, up north in BC, but
Okay.
it's like very
Surprising how
few in between. So I'm very stoked that, yeah, we're talking to you because this is a whole other side of like what we're used to.
I know you're so cool too. Writing
Aw,
it's like a different world.
totally. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so how about motocross? How long have you been racing motocross?
Um, like 15 years now, on and off.
Okay. How did you get into it?
So when I was little, well, my grandfather and my dad are both they're super into motorcycles. My grandpa raced cars, and snowmobiles and had custom Harleys and cool stuff. So I grew up with that, and then I don't know what turned me on to motocross specifically, but I had a couple of my friends had little dirt bikes and they raced. And so I wanted to be like them on the dirt bikes. And I saw somewhere, maybe a magazine at the store or something, I got hooked on motocross and I was obsessed with supercross from like a really young age. And then when I was 12, I got my first trail bike. And then when I was 15, I got an 85 and we bumped into one of my dad's friends at our local dealerships, Pioneer Motorsports. And we bumped into his friend and his son was racing four-wheelers and they're like, oh, what are you guys doing? He told them I was riding dirt bikes and they go, oh, you should come to a race. It'll be great. Well, we never stopped going after that.
Oh, wow. That's so cool.
Every weekend for like 5 or 6 years. So that's just, you get hooked on it.
For sure. So you said your grandfather and your dad, they supported you basically. They took you to all these races.
Yeah, my grandfather, they lived down in Florida, so he wasn't really around for the racing.
Okay.
But my dad, yeah, he was my coach and he was my travel buddy. Yeah, that was what we did. It was awesome.
That's cool. That's so awesome. And so what kind of dirt bike are you riding now? Okay, first, actually, I want to ask, so you were on an 85 when you first started.
Yep.
Was it a KTM?
That was a KX or a Kawasaki
Okay.
85.
Yeah.
And then the following year, I moved up to a Yamaha YZ 125. And
Okay.
then I think I was only on that one for a year too. And then I went up to my YZF 250.
Okay. And that's what you're on now?
Nope. Now I have a 2021 Gas MC
Oh,
250. And I've
okay.
had bikes over the years since.
Yeah. How are you liking the gas?
I absolutely love it. The technology nowadays is just unreal. Like it's night and day. I raced my YZF last year, and it struggled a little bit. It's a 2007. The suspension's pretty beat in it. The engine's tired. I was really having to stretch myself out to make it work. But I was like, oh, I'm riding a decent amount. I'll get a new bike. And I had my last bike was a 2016 KX 250F. So that was like the newest bike I had ridden, and I rode a Gas 300 when I was out west. So I had a little bit of experience on the newer bikes, and the Gas is what hooked me. I was riding the 300, and I was like, this is a really cool bike. And I heard about what KTM was doing when they purchased Gas, and they're really trying to improve the technology on all of them. They're incorporating a lot more electric components into the machines and a lot of really cool stuff. So the Gas is kind of like the base model KTM. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles of the newer bikes, but it's got electric start. It's just got a really smooth, consistent throttle. The suspension's great in it. I jumped right on it. It felt natural. Sometimes, you jump on a bike and it's, it takes you a little while to get used to it. I hopped right on this thing and I was like, this is it. This feels great. I had a friend of mine help me adjust the suspension on it a couple weekends ago, and it feels like I've been riding it for years.
Awesome. Isn't that so great when you can actually connect with the bike, like just hop on it and be like, yep, this is for me.
Yeah, it does everything I want it to. It's so smooth. I love it.
Oh, awesome. That's so great to hear. Yeah, again, I don't know a lot of people that are on gas, and I've been quite interested myself. So that's cool.
Yeah, I think you're gonna see it explode. Two friends of mine since I got this one, so in the last couple of months, have gas now, and so I know it's really popular out in the enduro and hair scramble worlds. I
Yeah.
think you're going to see it more in the motocross world here in the next couple of years.
Yeah, you bet. Okay, so on your gas, did you end up doing some modifications other than the suspension?
Not a whole lot yet. Actually, the very first thing I did, when I first got the bike, they had this really dinky little bar pad on it, and I was like, that's got to go. If you've ever slammed yourself on your handlebars, I was like, this thing isn't gonna save me. This is nothing. So I swapped out the bar pad. I put some grip donuts on. I got a skid plate. That's pretty much it. I put graphics on it. I've got a seat cover I've got to put on. I'm gonna shave the seat down a little bit because it's really tall. I can't reach the ground on it. I'm
Okay.
like on tiptoes on one side with it.
Yes. It makes it a little scary, right? Like when you can't really touch. Yeah. Yeah, for
Tip
sure.
over, stand up on it, but I'm doing okay on it. I'm just gonna shave it down maybe like an inch and a half.
Cool.
Well,
Um, Side note, how tall are you?
I'm 5'5".
5'5". Okay. Just for
Like
those
an
that are wondering. Cool. Okay, and then what is one accessory that you cannot live without on your dirt bike?
like a part.
Yeah, part or yeah, basically.
Uh, I've got some ASV levers on the way. I think that would be my number one. Like it's gotta have the levers because if you dump it in a corner and break your lever, you're screwed for the day. So
Right.
I love the adjustable levers. I've had them on my '07 250, and I haven't had any issues. So
Right.
those are definitely worth the investment.
Okay. Cool. Um, dirt bike heroes. Do you have any dirt bike heroes?
Oh, um, I think my biggest hero would probably be Travis Pastrana. He's
Okay.
just, since I was a little kid, I've watched, everything he's done and thinks he's like the coolest person ever.
Yes. He can rip for sure.
And probably Ashley feel like she's definitely I think we're the same age. Um, we talked a couple of times, like back when I was racing and just moved to Florida. I was like, I really just want to ride with you someday. And
Totally.
we didn't have the opportunity yet, but that would be cool. She's one of my heroes.
She's a sick rider too. I went to Babes in the Dirt a couple years ago and she was there and it was yeah, I was, fanning out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Um, dirt bike gang. Do you have like a crew that hit the track with that you go riding with?
Um, yeah, I have a local friend group that a bunch of the girls ride. Not so much the dirt bikes, but they all have side by sides and four wheelers and snowmobiles. So, my friends that are like in the town here would be like Amber and Britt and Courtney and Sarah, Meg. So those are like my local friends that I ride with. And guys, I'm not gonna go through and list all your names, but like my race friends too. Harley, Nikki, Chrissy, the Cresman girls. They're probably the local ones, but it's awesome going on the track and seeing your friends and being able to ride and the states that I've lived into out in Colorado and Florida. I've got friends, girls that I've met down there too that rip, and it's cool. You gotta have friends that love the ride.
Totally. That like, and especially in so many different sports that you can dive into, like you can ride with them. Doesn't matter what machine.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So, that's actually a really great question that I didn't think about is, I guess, how many times are you out riding and training versus like casually riding with friends?
How many times?
Yeah, like how many times do you go, like, let's say in a week, like if you're training for an event, to, casually riding with friends, like how do you break that up and how many times do you go out in a week?
Um, it varies by season and what's going on. My whole life mission is just to ride as much as possible.
Okay.
What I'm doing because I do all the different sports, so it's like I'm always up to something. And when I'm racing, I'll usually try to ride at least once during the week. Um, I've got like a little track around my house, so it's like if anything, just go out there and just do a bunch of laps. Um, I'll try to go to the dirt bike track once. It's not going so great, but like once every few weeks during the
Right.
week, and races are on weekends.
Okay.
Uh, but it depends on the season. So when I'm not racing all the time and I have time home, me and my friends, I mean, they're all out riding too. They're all on their boats right now. That's kind of what everybody's doing right now. But like this time last year, we went to Tall Pines and we'll go to Majestics and go trail riding. And, we've got some mud holes around here that will take their pit bikes and four wheelers down. So it's just a mix and depends on what time of year. But I'm usually riding like once or twice a week. I try.
Okay. Cool. That's so rad. And it's so cool that, yeah, you're able to still, like, you have a track in your yard, like you have that no matter what. So that's cool. And yes,
Yeah.
boat life. Boat life is awesome. Okay, my next question. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Um, how about riding with your male friends? Like, is there one? or it could be a couple. But what is the biggest challenge when riding with them?
The biggest challenge, I don't know, it depends on the friend group and who I'm riding with and where we're riding. I had to give this some thought because the biggest challenge, I guess maybe would be like the competitiveness. When you're riding with a bunch of guys, you're showing off more, you're giving each other shit. It's more competitive. Whereas when you go with girls, you're talking about a million other things and you're just enjoying the ride and having fun.
Yes.
So, and it's not always that way. It can be relaxing too, but it's definitely more competitive with the boys.
For sure. For sure. And let's talk about this. Just recently, you went to a school. I'm going to probably call it the wrong thing, but was it a career day?
Yeah, I did it once 10 years ago for their actual career day.
Okay.
They had different professionals there, and we took our dirt bikes there, and we talked about our careers and racing, and then I did some wheelies in the backyard, and it turned out to be a big hit. And so they've been asking me since I moved home to come back and do it again. So
Oh,
we made the whole afternoon. It was myself, my friend Reggie, who races motocross, and he raced snow bike too. And my friend Tia from work. It's just cool to see another woman in construction. So we all went there, and Reggie is an electrician. So we all talked about our careers in construction and how we also were able to follow our dreams with racing. And Tia wanted to be a soccer player at college, so she reached her dream that way. But the whole message was, find your passion, follow your dreams. Here's another career path that when we were their age that we didn't know about, but here we are today, and we get to have the afternoon with you guys and hang out. It was a really cool event.
oh, I saw a post and it just put the biggest smile on my face. How old were the kids when, like you were popping wheelies or like doing your track thing in front of them? How old
Um,
were they?
we did it for the whole school, so
Oh, for the
kindergarten
whole.
through. Yeah, so they just broke them up into groups, and we rotated all afternoon.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so rad.
Yeah, I told 200 kids to make their bed every day.
Yeah. Oh, that's great advice. Oh my gosh. If I was little, yeah, going to school and then there's some like badass chick that like ripping dirt bikes and then told me that, you better believe it. I would start making my bed that day.
So that was
Oh,
awesome. And I asked all of them too, what they wanted to be when they grow up. And so we have a lot of future pro motocross riders and construction workers and doctors and vets and an astronaut, cop. So I love talking to them and, just seeing where their mind's at and seeing what they want to be when they grow up. And, um, I think seeing other, adults who have made their dreams come true, I think that's going to have a huge impact on them. And I think, you know, so I think some kids got a lot out of it. So,
oh, that's awesome. I love it. That's so cool. We are going to shift gears here. We're going to talk a little bit about off dirt bike, off snow events. We're going to talk a little bit more like about the mental, physical side of things. For example, before you go into a race, what do you do mentally and physically to prepare for a race?
so the whole week leading up to it, I kind of have my little routines and things that I do. The week before I shut off from the world. Can you still hear me okay?
Yeah, yeah, you're good.
Um, I'll I'll shut off from the world. I'll start training harder towards the beginning of the week, unless I had a race the day before. But usually Monday, Tuesdays, I'll do heavier weightlifting. Into Wednesday, Thursday, I'll do more less weight but more endurance. I stretch a lot every day. Flexibility is super important. Like, I think that's more important over strength sometimes, just being flexible and able to adapt. If you think about it, you see these kids ripping and they're 60 pounds or 80 pounds, and it's like, you have to be strong, but it's more important that your body's loose and able to take all the impact. And then I'll usually take off Friday, Saturday, or I'll just do really light activity just to kind of conserve that energy. But I'll eat really well, kind of a health nut as it is. So diet's super important. I'll make sure I eat a lot the few days before the race, so that my energy's up. And then hydrate, drink tons and tons of water. So it's a whole ordeal the week leading up to a race. Yeah.
But I can appreciate that, because it takes a lot of dedication and motivation to be at your like top notch performance, right?
Yeah, definitely. For the big races, yeah, it's definitely, you're in the zone and thinking about racing 24/7.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. And then what about any workout routines? Like, not so much before racing, but like, do you do something consistently that helps with your riding?
Bent over rows, I think, would be like the number one exercise that I do. That I think makes the most impact. But just I do a mix of weight training and cardio, and I do something every day. So that's my routine. I exercise a lot, but I'll come up with challenges too. Like 100 push-ups in a day, or right now I'm still working on doing 30 pull-ups in a row. So Ken, if you're listening, I'm still working on it.
That's awesome.
I'll come up with small challenges and stuff, and run 10 miles, or just stuff that, like, having a goal.
Yes.
So mix that into it.
Yeah, love it. Love it. I love challenges too. Okay, and so challenges, struggles, and pains, because we all face it. What is something that you have struggled with or are still struggling with when it comes to dirt biking?
When it comes to racing dirt bikes, I think injuries, and a couple past crashes, those definitely have affected me. So it's working through those struggles.
Okay. Do you find that you have like a little bit of like mental blocks in a way?
It's weird. Lately I'll become very aware while I'm riding, and it'll freak me out a little bit. So it's like you want to try to stay in that zone, in that, where you're not thinking. And then it's like all of a sudden, like I'll come up to like a huge jump face, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, like I realize what I'm doing, and it kind of like freaks me out a little bit.
Right.
And I never used to have that.
Right.
And now I don't know, it's weird. I don't know if I'll experience that, but I think that's one of the struggles, is just like staying in the zone and staying focused while I'm out there.
Okay, for sure. You've mentioned it before. I don't want to, take you down memory lane, but injuries. You've had some injuries.
Yeah.
That set you back. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. Just anybody who's in these sports, you get hurt. Like it's a part of it, especially when you're racing and going, at those high speeds. You're always at risk. So it definitely, when I was younger and first getting into it, I never had any formal training. It was like I went from trails to track, and I was told to hold it wide open and hang on. And so, it takes time to work through that learning process without having someone helping teach you the basic fundamentals and skills. So I crashed a lot when I was younger. So when I've had 3 bad crashes where I've gotten hurt. One was I was 16 and I crashed and I knocked myself out. I was out for a little while and had internal injuries. And then when I was 19, I was at Loretta's regional and I ended up breaking both my ankles and I didn't even crash. I just landed a step up really hard. And it broke both my ankles and I rode off the track and I knew they were broken right away, but that one put me in a wheelchair for a few months.
Wow.
So that one slowed me down a little bit.
So that was just from impact. It wasn't from crashing, just impact, you're saying?
Yeah, it was maybe a 40-foot step up or so. You had to do a tight corner at the bottom of the hill, come straight up and launch the step up. And it was practice before the regional. And they grouped the women's class with the schoolboy class. So there was a ton of people on the track and you couldn't jump anything. And so I was like, really need to hit the step up one time before the race. So I went down the hill and I was right next to somebody. We turned the corner, went up, and I was like, I'm not going to make this. So I gave it some more gas, seat bounced it, and almost went into the kid next to me. So I turned the bike to the right, and I knew I was going to come up short on it. But I was on the gas, thought I was going to make it right over, and it blew out both my ankles. And I was like more in shock than anything. It was just, it's like that weird stuff can happen. I've known a few people that's happened to now. So it's a little more common than you think, but that one I was just going to college at that time. And so that really made me think about, what else I'm going to do with my life than just ride dirt bikes.
Right.
And then, so I focused more on school. And after school, I was like, all right, I'm getting back into racing again. I wanted to get into, I wanted to do more arena cross. And like my dream was to go to the X Games women's supercross race. So I started training again and I ended up crashing and I broke my back.
Oh, jeez.
And I was just tired and went off a jump wrong and couldn't fix it. And so I broke my back, and that's when I took my long break. I got into street bikes, and it actually, you think everything happens for a reason, right? So I got into mountain biking and triathlons, and so I was doing all kinds of other stuff, and it was cool. It opened me up to all these new worlds in sports. So it was kind of a blessing,
Mm-hmm. Cool.
But yeah, I definitely feel old now.
Yeah, with the injuries, and it's unfortunate because it's not like it's always still kind of there, right? Like even though it heals, but the mental, like I'm sure you have flashbacks or whatever, right? Or sometimes they do ache, breaks do ache at times. So.
Yeah. But I don't let it slow me down, as you can see.
Absolutely, which I love. That's so awesome. You obviously are very dedicated and motivated. And yeah, you are proving a point that all these injuries, even though they set you back, like you're not slowing down and you jumped in on other sports. So that's really cool. I'm just going to scroll up. I just saw Ken Rogden. I don't know if I said that right. He says, Casey, you're definitely a true badass and a huge inspiration.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. We are going to go to the next question. How about some wins? So we just talked about injuries. Let's talk about some wins, accomplishments. Is there something like an event or anything that's happened while you're dirt biking that you're just like so stoked on?
Accomplishments wise, yeah, I mean, it's so cool. Dirt biking has really opened up doors for me, really. I've gotten to do some really cool opportunities. I got to race in Las Vegas once for the Arena Cross World Finals. That was probably one of the coolest moments of my life. I thought it was a joke when they called me. I thought it was one of my friends playing a prank on me. I didn't qualify for the national, but I've been down to Loretta's for the event. I've gotten to ride all over the country, just track or trails. Like that in itself, I think, is an accomplishment. Just that I've moved around so much, and I still made it work and was able to ride. I have some of the coolest memories in life with the people that I've met along the way, and so I think that's my biggest accomplishment. It's just that I've gotten to ride in so many places and so many people.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, different time zones. You're checking out like all over the country. Trails, tracks, they're not all the same. Not a lot of people can say that. That's cool.
Yeah. So that's how I want my life to be. I want to keep, traveling and getting to do that.
Awesome. That's so rad. Let's chat future, Casey. What is one thing you plan on doing this dirt bike season that you didn't get to do last season?
My goal this year is I want to finally do a hair scramble. I've been talking about it for years. I got really close when I was in Colorado to racing the series out there, and I ended up coming back here. And so I guess New York Off-Road Association, they have races most weekends or every other weekend. So my goal is to hit one of those this year. And see how I do and how I like it, because you can't even say it's safer because of the trees and obstacles, but in my mind it's more challenging, I think. It's more endurance. You're riding for a few hours, so it's something new that I really want to try that I haven't done before.
Cool. Oh, that's right. And so they have it every weekend?
Yeah, I every weekend, every other week.
Wow. That's impressive.
So yeah, we're in New York. There's a lot of events going on throughout the summer.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Well, you have to keep us updated on that.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you have any other goals this season?
I'm planning on going back to Unadilla this year. Last year, since a lot of the races got canceled last year,
Right.
and the national canceled, they opened their track up for amateurs, and so me and some friends went and raced the amateur day. So I'm hoping to do that again, because the pro track at Unadilla is so cool, and it's cool to ride it. So that's a big one. And there's a women's race at Cato Motocross Park in New York. Last year I went and they had 42 girls sign up, and
Wow.
it's such a they cover your gate fee and your race fee, and then they give out prizes, I think, through I think everybody gets a prize pretty much. And they raffle a whole bunch of stuff. It's like all about the girls day, and it's so cool. So I'm definitely those are the two big ones, and probably Syracuse Supercross too.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to get up and race that one too. But those are my big goals. I'm like, I'll be happy if I get a chance to try all those and, try not to get hurt.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Oh, that's so awesome. Would you say you put a lot of pressure on yourself when it comes to riding, like doing these races?
I try not to anymore. There might be a tiny bit of pressure with the snowcross.
Okay.
Because I wanna do well at it. It takes a lot to get there, so I want to make it count. But otherwise, I try to take the pressure away. I already did the racing and being hard on myself, and the mentality of back when I was being super competitive with it, where it was like winning is the only way, and I was the best, and it's like it's not it's not about that. It's go have fun, try not to crash, enjoy time with your friends.
Totally.
So that definitely that takes the pressure off me, and I just want to go have a good time and be able to go to work the next day.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it. What would you whisper in the ear of young Casey who first started out racing?
Um, when I started racing, um, probably I would tell her go slow to go fast. Like slow down, slow down, and learn how to learn how to ride smooth. Because I feel like I was just a terror and just out there all over the place. But I mean, I was winning, and I feel like I was very driven and motivated. That's all I did was want to ride. So like I think I could have avoided getting hurt sometimes if I would have just slowed down and was riding smoother and just paying attention more than just like going out there full throttle.
For sure.
So
Awesome.
to anyone, slow to go fast. Once you get the skills, you'll go a lot faster. And
Yes.
not
Oh, I love it. Awesome. And how about any advice that you'd like to give to women who are maybe getting into racing or getting into dirt biking in general?
for those who are getting into it, connect with as many people as you can because one, you're going to make a ton of friends in the sport. I literally can walk up to someone at the gas station if they have a dirt bike in their truck and be like, "Hi, friend," and like you have a community everywhere you go. So connect with people, connect with other women who ride because they'll be your best friends throughout life. Like all of my friends, we've been friends for a long time, and I can call them up and say, "Hey, you want to go riding?" And you're always going to have a friend in this sport. And everybody helps each other. So really, get into it and start making friends. And what's cool now is there's a lot of women's groups like yours, the Braap Babes, and I've got another friend who has like Rad Chicks and Motocross Ladies and all these online social networks now that you can meet other women, and I think that's so freaking cool. That that you're able to connect online and make friends that way and go ride with them because it before you had all that, I didn't know a lot of girls who rode and raced. I really just had the one friend here, and so as I got older and moved around a little bit, I would go to the dealerships and say, "Hey, do you know any girls around here that ride or race?" And that's how I made a bunch of friends that way.
Right. That's awesome. That's like the true, like, I don't want to say old school way, but like, it's like as if, kids knocking on doors saying like, do you want to play with me? Right? Like now with social media, yes, we're
No.
able to connect so much easier, but to find women to ride with, you're right. It was harder at that time. Like you
hmm
really had to like dealerships, like send me contacts. Like I want to ride with somebody. Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
So yeah, connect with other women and go make friends because that's what makes it.
Yes, absolutely. Love it. How about a quote you live by?
Quote. So my favorite one lately is pursue the things that set your soul on fire. That's my favorite one right now. So follow your passions.
Love it. And where can we follow you as an athlete on social media or like a website or anything like that?
Um, so you can follow me on Instagram, HA Motorsports. I have a page on Facebook too.
Okay.
I don't really do any other social media.
Yeah, fair. Cool. Okay, and we're wrapping up our questions. I do have a quick 5 questions. This is just a quick one-word answer. So you got to pick one or the other.
Okay.
Weekend warrior or weekday slayer?
Weekend warrior.
Regular clutch or recluse clutch?
Ooh, I'm so old school. I like the regular clutch. I
Okay.
don't like the reverse clutch.
Okay. Two-stroke or four-stroke?
Uh, Four stroke.
Wheelies or need for speed?
Let's go with wheelies.
Okay. Corners like berms or jumps?
Jumps.
Airtime.
Yeah, that's what got me into this mess. I love jumping.
Cool. Hang time, right? Hang time for you time.
Yeah, flying.
For sure. So I have a couple of questions that came in. So if you guys that are tuning in, if you have any questions for Casey, now is your time. I have a question from yourself. How how do you afford all of these hobbies? Which I think is a really great question.
I ask myself all the time. I'm like, how do I do this? But I wanted to bring it up because I'm not like rich or anything, but I've had a bunch of bikes and I do the mountain biking stuff. Well, all these things that I do, that's all I do is I just play with my toys. I have to make a lot of sacrifices to be able to do this stuff. But I have always had 2 or 3 jobs at a time. So since I was 15, 16, actually what made me get my first job was I blew up my 85. So I had to go get a job so I could buy the parts and fix it so I could keep racing. But as I got older, I would have my full-time job and then I'd have 1 or 2 side jobs too, and I worked all the time.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it ain't cheap. That's for sure. I have one from Jenny. Between dirt bike racing and snow cross racing, do you find them to be equal or different? Which one do you prefer to do over the other?
They both have their similarities and their differences. I love dirt biking. That's my passion is the motocross. But I love the snowmobile racing because I wanted to jump snowmobiles. That's why I wanted to do snowcross. It is so hard. Those things weigh 500 pounds. The suspension's super tight in them. It's like trying to ride a couch. And the snow will do most of the work for you, but you still have to work it. And man, it's a workout. So they're both super hard. If I had to pick one, I'd probably stick with the motocross.
Okay, okay, that's cool. Ken Rogden, how did you first become interested in racing dirt bikes and snowmobiles?
Did you say Ken?
Yes.
Ken, did you hear me talk about the pull-ups?
Actually, I think he did. Let's just see. I'm going to scroll up. I think he did actually. Yes, he said, did you get those 30 pull-ups yet?
Not yet. I'm still working on it. There was a delay. We're still stuck at 25 right now.
That's still impressive. 25 is impressive.
Thanks. Not to the strongest man in the world there, though. So what was the question? How did I get into it?
How did you first become interested in racing dirt bikes and snowmobiles?
It was when I was really young. I had a couple friends that were riding dirt bikes, and I was just obsessed with riding dirt bikes, but they raced, and I was really into supercross and motocross. And then we bumped into one of my dad's friends, and he invited us racing, and we were hooked from there.
Awesome. And then WTF wrong with W peeps. I don't want to swear on here, but yes. Anyways, that's his handle. Is she taken? Is his question.
No.
Awesome. And that's it. I'm just going to scroll up and see if you guys have any questions or comments. I have Shanessa. She says, hi, babes. She just joined in. Let's keep scrolling. Ken, I know I read this, but I do believe it's true. He says, Casey, you're definitely a true badass and a huge inspiration. Sweet. Well, we're gonna wrap it up, and I want to give you a huge shout out, Casey. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so glad I got to know you, and I've been following your journey for a little bit now. And I must say, when I first saw your Instagram, I was like, I need to have you on here. Like, you just, so different from what we do here on the West Coast in Canada. Like I said, we don't have motocross, we don't have snowcross. So just to see what you go through, like it's such a different lifestyle. And I just appreciate you telling us your story. And again, you are impacting so many women athletes and women. You're a huge inspiration. And thank you so much for coming in and sharing your story.
Yeah, well, yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity. It was awesome to meet you, and maybe we'll get to ride together someday. That would be awesome.
That would be so rad. Maybe when the border is open, like we should meet and you can show me a couple tricks and tips. That would be so rad.
Awesome.
Okay,
Can't
cool.
wait.
Well, thanks so much, everyone, for joining in, and we'll catch you on the next Throttle Talk. Have a good night, guys. Bye, Casey.
Thanks. Bye.